You're looking live at Tom Gilbert Field at Shattuck Stadium on the campus of Franklin and Marshall College today. Second round NCAA championship action as Franklin and Marshall takes on Eastern University. Good afternoon. My name is Steve Ulrich, welcoming you to today's ESPN broadcast of the matchup between the Diplomats, the champions of the Centennial Conference, and the Eagles, winners of the Middle Atlantic Conference. But conference title holders are where the similarities end between the two teams. Franklin Marshall began football during the 1889 season. The Diplomats have played 1,239 games before making their first ever NCAA tournament. Eastern began football in 2023, and Eastern has played 30 games before making their first NCAA tournament. Franklin and Marshall has won the toss. Diplomats have elected to defer. Two players to keep an eye on today are the wide receiver for Franklin Marshall and the running back for Eastern. Gary Lewis, the Centennial Conference Offensive Player of the Year, 56 catches, 981 yards, 16 touchdown receptions. He also ran for one. He is fifth in Division III in touchdown scores. For the Eagles, running back Jeremiah Avrilian. Avrilian has rushed for 972 yards on the year, has scored 15 touchdowns. He ranks 43rd in all of Division III. Two players to keep an eye on as we get ready for today's game. Franklin and Marshall in the royal blue uniforms with the white numerals and the white trim. F&M will head right to left on your screen. Eastern in the away white uniforms with the maroon uniforms, the maroon numerals. Eastern will head left to right on your screen. And Harlamov with a short kick. We fielded at the 30 across the 35. And Sam Shell will bring that one to the 40-yard line, where Eastern will take over 1st and 10. The Eagles, led by grad quarterback Brett Knabb. Knabb, 5'11", 202 pounds, out of Avalon, New Jersey. The Middle-Atlantic Conference Offensive Player of the Year. He's rushed for nearly 1,200 yards. He's thrown for 1,200. He's one of 3 quarterbacks in the country to have achieved 1,000 yards in both categories. 1st and 10 Eagles. Ball at the 40-yard line. Knabb will look right, looking deep for Nicolopoulos. Ball is short. Matt Wirtz on the coverage. Nicolopoulos, a junior wide receiver from Philadelphia. 18 catches of the year, 404 yards. Here's the starting lineup for the Eagles. Knabb is the quarterback. Avrilian is the running back. Nicolopoulos is the big play man, but also keep an eye on number 2, Nasik Smith. Smith does a lot of jet sweeps. He catches passes in the right flat for the Eagles. 2nd and 10. Ball at the 40-yard line for the Eagles. Avrilian will line up to the right of Knabb. 2 wide receivers set, 2 tight ends set for the Eagles. Now Smith comes in motion, fakes the jet sweep. Avrilian comes around the left side, cuts back, slips the tackle of Carter, finally thrown down by Checchio. But not before he gets to the 47-yard line. Will bring up 3rd and 3. Let's take a look at the Franklin and Marshall defense. Big guys in the middle. L.T. Kelly. Sam Keenan, the middle linebacker, Kyle Checchio, Oscar Marks, a pair of freshmen who made first-team all-conference. Connor Helly, the leading tackler for the blue and white. 3rd down, 3 yards to go. Eastern on the season converts 41% of their 3rd downs. Now Avrilian comes on the right side. Knabb on a design quarterback keeper, picks up 1st down yardage across midfield. And the Eagles are into F&M territory. Ball at the 49-yard line on the 1st down carry by Brett Knabb. We said Knabb, 3rd in the MAC in rushing yards on the season. Over the last 2 games, he's rushed for over 295 yards. He has 6 games where he has rushed for more than 100 yards on the season. 1st and 10 Eagles, ball at the F&M 49-yard line. Knapp drops, looks over the middle, complete to his big tight end, Dom Franks. Franks dropped after a gain of 3. Give him 4 on the play down to the 44-yard line. Watch Franks, goes in motion and does a little curl right in front of Keenan. 2nd and 5. Knapp looks over the sideline to get the signal. Now Franklin Marshall's defense will adjust accordingly. Empty set. 5 wide receiver set. Now Brilliant goes in motion, takes the handoff, tries to get wide, gets around Albero, gets across the 40, 35, finally knocked out of bounds by Marks, but not before he picks up 1st down yardage at the 30-yard line. Good start for the Eagles on the first drive of the contest. Eastern on the season averages 237 yards on the ground, 11th in the country in rush offense. Franklin Marshall allows 151 yards on the ground. How well the Diplomats slow down the Eagle rushing attack will be the difference today. 1st and 10, Knapp, empty backfield under pressure from Checchio. Checchio can't get him. Keenan and Hilly giving chase. Knapp gets outside the tackle box, throws it across the line of scrimmage. Incomplete pass. Good pressure that time by the Diplomats. Watch Knapp, flushed out of the pocket. He eludes Checchio. But 2 other defenders are closing, and Knapp forced to just throw it away. Brings up 2nd down. Twelve personnel for the Eagles, 2 tight ends, 1 running back. Nicolopoulos and Johnston are on the near side. 2nd and 10, ball on the F&M 31-yard line, just underway. Franklin and Marshall and Eastern, 2nd round NCAA action. Knapp, delay, Avrilian. Stop before he really gets going. Got across the 30, short gain on the play. It's going to bring up 3rd down. Watch Avrilian, starts right, cuts back to the left. Picks up a nice block from John Pettit. But F&M quickly closing. Checchio and Hadley on the tackle. 3rd down, 7 yards to go. The Eagles go with 5 wide receivers. Knapp in an empty set. Franklin Marshall brought in the nickelback, Trey Camella. Knapp looks right, now looks to run. Knapp picks up 1st down yardage as he heads down the left far sideline. Albero finally trips him up. Another strong run from Brett Knapp. And the Eagles are in the red zone, ball at the 10-yard line. Knapp with the pump fake. And then he finds room along the far sideline. Franklin Marshall is going to have to be careful with the rush lanes today. It is 1st and goal, ball just touching the 10-yard line. Eastern on the move, 1st possession. 3 wide receivers, 2 tight ends for the Eagles. Knapp on a designed run. Tries off right tackle. Stopped by Checchio. Brett Knapp averages 18 runs per game. So you're going to see a lot of number 5 today. Knapp, one of the year 0 players for Eastern. As we said, the program was brought to the university back in 2021. First club season was 2022. First varsity season 2023 for Eastern. Knapp has been with them since the start. 2nd and goal, ball at the 8-yard line. Avrilian. Fake to him, Knapp will keep. He powers his way down to about the 2-yard line. Brings up 3rd and goal. The Eagles 9-1 in the season, champions of the Middle Atlantic Conference. Only loss, 24-21 loss at Lebanon Valley back on September 20th. The Eagles have won 13 of their last 15 games. 3rd and goal at the 2. Avrilian lines up to the left shoulder of Nab. 2 options available. Now reverse. Now Barrow can't wrap up. Devin Johnston made the first hit. Really broke up the rhythm of the play. Now head coach Billy Crocker has a decision to make on 4th and goal. Watch out, Barrow stops Johnston cold, but can't wrap him up. Checchio and Banghart will finish him up. And here we go, first big play of this NCAA contest is 4th and goal. Ball on the 1-yard line. 2 tight end set. Avrilian, the lone back along with Nab. Nab will keep. Nab into the end zone. Touchdown, Eagles. Brett Nab powers his way across right tackle. Watch the replay. The big block actually came from Avrilian, who was able to fill the gap. Allow Nab to fall forward into the end zone. For Nab, his 8th rushing touchdown of the season. Now, as Eastern considers a 2-point try for the PAT, now we'll shift back. John Nowak, the junior kicker from Aston, Pennsylvania. Out of the hold of Nab. Sean McNamara is your long snapper. Nowak's kick is up, and it is through. Eastern strikes first as the Eagles march 12 plays, 60 yards, capped by the touchdown run by Brett Nab. Watch the block from number 3, Avrilian. And Nab is able to power his way into the end zone. And Eastern leads by a score of 7-0. The Eagles this season have trailed just 62 minutes all year long. And more than half of that came a couple Saturdays ago against Stevenson before defeating the Mustangs by a score of 16-10. Franklin Marshall played from behind a number of times this season. Diplomats will get the first possession of the game. Coming up now, back deep to receive. Oscar Marks and James Sobieski awaiting the kick from Nowak. 7-0 Eastern. Steve Ulrich with you on ESPN Plus. Glad to have you with us today. Nowak's kick drives you over his head into the end zone, and the Diplomats will take over 1st and 10. Diplomats are led by senior quarterback Ty Tremba. Tremba on the year has completed 62% of his passes, thrown for over 2,200 yards and 25 touchdowns. You can see where he ranks on Franklin Marshall's career list. Became the permanent starter midway through his freshman campaign and has led the Diplomats to the first outright Centennial title since 1995 and the first ever NCAA appearance. Tremba in the backfield with Paris lined up on his right shoulder, 3 wide receiver set. Eitner starts in motion, comes back to the near side. Tremba, play fake to Paris. He'll run behind the right side of the line, Ben Ostrowski and Chris Selecki, and pick up a 3. Let's take a look at the F&M starting offense. As we said, Tremba's the man that makes it run. Gary Lewis, one of the most dangerous receivers in Division III. Aiden Toomey and Chris Logue, a pair of all-conference offensive linemen. 2nd and 7, Diplomats. Ball on the 28-yard line. Now Paris shifts over to the left of Tremba. Paris gets the handoff across the 30 to about the 32-yard line. Pick up a 4. It's going to bring up 3rd and 3. Let's look at the Eastern defense. Deshaun Moody, Jason Bateman, 2 of the outstanding defenders for the Eagles. Also keep an eye on Shamad Clack, the defensive tackle. 3rd and 3. F&M on the season, 42% converting 3rd downs. Tremba looks over to the sideline, gets a new play. Lewis and Harrison to the top of the screen. Eitner and Zwatkis at the bottom of the screen. Tremba steps up, and he's going to be dropped for a loss. And right around the line of scrimmage, Cole Jones, the junior from York, Pennsylvania, prevents Tremba from picking up positive yardage. And that's going to bring up fourth down. Now bring on the punt unit for F&M and Ivan Harlamoff. Harlamoff averages 39 yards per kick. His net punting average of 36.2 yards is 40th in Division III. Back to return is Nicolopoulos. And he will field at the 28. He's going to try the right side. He's got room to run. Nicolopoulos across 40, 45. Midfield steps out of bounds. Good return for Justin Nicolopoulos, a junior from Philadelphia. And the Eagles will start on the plus side of the 50. Ball at the Franklin Marshall 49. Good blocking. Nicolopoulos gives a little hop step. Outruns Paris, but steps out of bounds. Ball we marked at midfield, 1st and 10. Eagles. Eastern, who marked 60 yards on the first drive to punch it in. Will start their second drive at midfield. Avrilian lines up in the pistol. He'll get the handoff. Patiently chooses a hole for Hilly and Hadley. Make the stop after a gain of 4, 2nd and 6. Watch how patient the junior running back is as he picks out his hole. And picks up 4. Avrilian, 972 yards, 15 touchdowns of the year. Second team All-Middle-Atlantic Conference. 5th in the MAC in rushing. One of the players he's behind in that category is the quarterback, Brett Knabb. Now Knabb looks left, looks to run. He's under pressure. Vancho can't bring him down, and Knabb will run out of bounds. Good pressure that time from L.T. Kelly and Kyle Avancho. Knabb is a run first, throw second player. This is the run to Aurelian. That's going to bring up 3rd and 8. Eagles converted 2 of 3 third downs on his first drive. Nicolopoulos comes to the bottom of the screen along with Chris Rivera. Smith and Swinton at the top of the screen. Knabb under pressure. Throw complete. A nice coverage on the play as Nasik Smith is dropped by Rafe Carner. And that's going to bring up a punting situation. F&M sent the linebackers, watch Rafe Carner, number 1, come up and quickly make the big hit on Nasik Smith. And they'll bring up 4th and 4. Brings on punter John Westfield. Westfield, senior, first team All-Middle-Atlantic Conference punter. He averages just under 40 yards per kick. He's placed 10 inside the 20 this season. Albero waits for the kick from the Philadelphia native. Ball will begin to turn over, and Albero will field it at the 11, 33 yards, no return. Franklin and Marshall will start with his second possession of the game. Let's take a look at some of the impact players in today's matchup. Franklin and Marshall, freshman running back Lewis Paris, second team all-conference. L.T. Talley, the big man in the middle on the defensive end. You've seen Justin Nicolopoulos already. Also keep an eye on Jason Bateman. He wears number 8 for the Eagles. One of the fastest linebackers you're going to see in this region. 1st and 10. Ball is going to be spotted at the 12-yard line. Paris, the lone setback. Paris will take the handoff. He's going to try the left side behind Logue and Reddy. Give him maybe a yard. Lewis Paris, a 5'11", 220-pound freshman out of Scranton, Pennsylvania. 447 rushing yards on the year. Became a starter midway through the season. Has averaged 56 yards per game. as a starter. Now Shutt, the tight end, goes in motion. Lines up as the H-back. Next to the right tackle is Tremba. Looks to throw, and he is going to be dropped for a loss. Will LaFontaine beats his block. Watch 94. Pushes his way through, gets around ready. And LaFontaine, his first sack of the year for the sophomore from West Palm Beach, Florida. Going to bring up third down and 14 yards to go. F&M in the shadow of his own goal line. See what offensive coordinator Matt Quattrone chooses to do for the Diplomats. 4 wide receiver set. Tremba under pressure again. Loses the ball, falls on it. Wayne Clark, the first year from Chester, Pennsylvania, comes in. Makes the hit, knocks the ball free, but lands right at Tremba's feet. Watch again. F&M very fortunate, as right now the Eastern defensive line is winning the battle up front. Harlamoff will step in for his second punt of the day. He's averaging 39 yards. He kicked it 39 yards on his first attempt. He's going to kick it away from Nicolopolis, end over end. It's finally going to roll out of bounds in front of the Eastern bench at the 47-yard line. 44 yards, no return, but the Eagles will take over. 1st and 10 once again in Franklin and Marshall territory. So far, Eastern 15 plays, 66 yards of total offense. Franklin and Marshall 6 plays, minus 1 yard. Eastern leads 7-0, 2:24 to go first quarter. Steve Ulrich with you on ESPN Plus. Glad to have you with us today. Second round NCAA Division III football action, live from Lancaster, Pennsylvania, as Nab fakes the pitch. He's going to try the left side, where he's dropped for a loss by Carner. Carner, the junior cornerback from Northport, New York. Watch him at the top of the screen. Beats the block of Pettit and Franks and drops Nab for a 2-yard loss. Second down, 12 yards to go, ball at midfield. Avrillian lines up as the lone back, 2 tight end set. Avrillian gets the handoff. He's going to try the left side. Finally knocked out of bounds by Carner. But not before he picks up 7. It's going to bring up 3rd and 5 at the 43. 90 seconds to go first quarter. A fast-moving first quarter. Johnston, Nicolopolis will come to the bottom of the screen. Avrillian, the lone back. Once again, 2 tight end set as Nab will try the left side. He's got first down yards, he breaks free. Brett Nab to the house. Touchdown, Eastern. Nab got to the second level. And once he did, he turned on the Jets. Oscar Marks, number 15, tried his best to trip him up. But Nab falls into the end zone, 43-yard touchdown. And just like that, the Eagles are on top 13-0. John Nolick will come on to try the conversion, as Eastern has stunned the home crowd here at Franklin and Marshall. 2 scores in the first quarter. Nolick's kick is up, and it is good. 55 seconds to go, first quarter. Eastern leads Franklin and Marshall by a score of 14-0. Eastern has racked up 113 total yards on 18 plays, 104 of them coming on the ground. And right now it's going to be up to Franklin Marshall defensive coordinator Mike Furlong to come up with some defensive adjustments, as the offensive line for the Eagles is winning the battle at the line of scrimmage. Eastern scoring drive. 3 plays, 47 yards, just a $1.29 comes off the clock. And Diplomats now behind the 8 ball once again. F&M trailed Johns Hopkins last Saturday by a score of 21-0 before coming back to defeat the Blue Jays in overtime, 29-28. And it's not a game that you're very successful at very often, but Franklin Marshall playing with fire, trailing by 2 touchdowns. Nolik's kick will be fielded by Marks at the 2. Marks tries to find a hole, flag is down. Marks is going to be brought down at the 20, and that's probably going to be an illegal block in the back. So once again, Franklin Marshall is going to start another drive within the shadow of its own goal line. See if we can pick it up in the replay. I think it happened right there. Camella is going to be flagged. We'll wait for the call. Your officials today, your referee is Sean Burke. Your umpire is Zachary Gilbert.
During the return, holding receiving team number 38, 10-yard penalty from the spot
line
of foul.
judge is Dennis Torres.
First down.
Robert Belizos is the line judge. Side judge is James Laporta. Damar Torres is your field judge. Your back judge is Scott Ciccone. And just like that, Franklin Marshall, as we said, will start his 3rd drive of the game at the 10-yard line. F&M has had no good field position at all today. Diplomat starting at its own 25 after a touchback, starting at the 12 and now at the 10. Tremba gives to Paris. Paris finds the hole off the left tackle. Paris gets to the 20-yard line, and it is a first down for the freshman from Scranton, Pennsylvania, Lewis Paris. Gets a nice block up front. Watch Logan Rennie open the hole. Paris powers his way through. Diplomats pick up their first down of the contest. Clark and Beckford on the stop. Second down, 1st and 10, Diplomats. Eitner goes to the top of the screen, lines up in the left slot. Lewis at the top of the screen. Tremba misses badly as he tries to throw in the near flat to Harrison. And that will conclude the first quarter of play. Fast-moving first quarter here in Lancaster. Diplomats trail Eastern by a score of 14-0. We'll be right back. You're watching NCAA Division III football on ESPN+. Second and 10, ball on the Franklin Marshall 20-yard line. Second quarter here on ESPN+. Steve Ulrich with you. Eastern on top of Franklin Marshall by a score of 14-0. Eitner comes in motion, now stops, comes back to the near side, lines up in the near slot. Paris, the running back. Play action pass. Tremba under pressure, and he is hit. Nardo Murphy comes in, delivers the blow. But there is a flag on the play. And will be pass interference against Franklin Marshall. So not much going right for the Diplomats here in the early going. Eastern head coach Billy Crocker pushing all the right buttons.
Pass interference,
Crocker.
offense number 85. Penalties half the distance to the goal, remains second down.
Crocker, the former defensive coordinator at Elon, University of Connecticut, and Villanova. So penalties half the distance to the goal. 2nd and 20. Diplomats have to get to the 30-yard line to keep this drive alive. And right now, F&M is losing the battle in the interior. Tremba looks for a clean pocket, jumps in the flat to Paris. Paris gets to about the 25-yard line. Pick up a 15 on the play. Going to bring up 3rd and manageable for the Diplomats. Paris slips out unattended. Takes on 2 defenders. Powers his way forward for a couple more yards. 3rd and 5. Harrison will line up in the left slot. Lewis to the top of the screen. Eitner and Zwatkis at the bottom of the screen. Play clock down to 10. Eastern showing blitz. Tremba throws right side, complete to Eitner. Eitner will step out of bounds at the 37-yard line, pickup of 12 for the junior wide receiver from Mahwah, New Jersey. Watch Eitner, this little square out. Tremba hits him in stride. 1st down, Diplomats. Now Tremba, back to throw. He's going to look deep. He's got Lewis knocked away. And a flag will come down. Jamari James never looked back, made contact with Lewis while also making simultaneous contact with the ball. Watch again. Tremba lets it loose. There you see the contact from the senior cornerback from Miami, Florida. So F&M gets a new 15, and for the first time today, the home team is on the plus side of the 50. Ball marked at the Eastern 48-yard line. 2 wide receiver, 2 tight end set. Anthony Shivas lines up just behind left tackle Chris Logue. Tremba throws out in the left flat, complete to Zwatkis. James quickly closes on him. 3-yard pickup for Zwatkis. Brings up 2nd and 7. Hunter Zwatkis, 6'6" junior out of Westchester, Pennsylvania. 31 catches on the year. Watch how quickly James closes on him. 2nd and 7 for Franklin Marshall. Diplomats 11 personnel, shut the tight end, top of the screen. Eitner will come in motion. Eastern set up in the zone. Play clock at 7. Ball snapped. Flag finally comes down as Tremba throws long for Lewis. Complete. Lewis into the end zone. Touchdown Franklin and Marshall. Let's wait on the flag. But we may have offside against Eastern. We will wait to the call. Right now it's a 45-yard touchdown pass. From Tremba to Lewis, the call was offside against the Eagles. And the Diplomats are right back in this game. It's 14-6. Watch Lewis make the quick stop and go into the end zone as he beats Eric Wilson. And that brings on Michael Fleming. Fleming on the year 32 of 33. His holder is Danny O'Brien. The snapper is Will Galligan. Good snap, good hold, good kick. Franklin and Marshall backed up all the way to his own 10-yard line. Strikes on a 45-yard touchdown pass from Ty Tremba to Gary Lewis. And Jeff, you know what? It takes 2 to tango. Tremba and Lewis have combined for 37 touchdowns in their career. Only Division II's Jack Strand and Brady Perryman have teamed up as active players for more touchdown passes, playing for Minnesota State Moorhead, then Lewis and Tremba. Franklin and Marshall scoring drive. 8 plays, 90 yards, 2:56 on the clock. And Franklin and Marshall has gotten itself back in this contest. It is 14-7. Quick look around the out-of-town scoreboard. Other games today in Division III. One we're really keeping an eye on is the game the other side of the bracket, Susquehanna and Christopher Newport. Early in the second quarter, Susquehanna leads Christopher Newport by a score of 14-7. Kickoff from Harlamov, will be fielded by Rivera at the 6. Rivera hit by Aravides, and he is going to be pulled down. Good initial hit from Nick Aravides, the sophomore from Greenwich, Connecticut, and Eastern will take over. 1st and 10, 12:41 to go in the first half. Other scores involving Centennial Conference teams today. Early in the second quarter, Johns Hopkins and Springfield are tied at 7, 3 minutes in second quarter. Mount Union leads Muhlenberg by a score of 14-0. Centennial Conference with 3 teams in the round of 32. Eastern representing the Middle Atlantic Conference in the NCAA second round. 1st and 10 Eagles, ball at the 19-yard line. Franks, the H-back, top of the screen, swing pass right flat to Avrillian. Avrillian is dropped for a gain of 2, maybe 3. Brings up 2nd and long. Chris Albero, junior linebacker from Garnet Valley, Pennsylvania, quickly up to make the stop. Ball marked at the 23-yard line, 2nd and 6 on the play. Now Franks will line up on the near side. Ball fake, Avrillian powers his way up the middle. Hilly is there to make the stop. It's going to bring up 3rd down. Eagles 3 of 5 on 3rd downs today. Watch Avrillian. Starts left, cuts back to the right, finds a little bit of running room, but Hilly will make the initial hit. Connor Hilly, the junior linebacker from Phillipsburg, New Jersey. Now Nab with an empty backfield. Dylan Weathers, the fullback, lined up as the H-back behind the right tackle. Rivera goes in motion. Nab will roll to the left. Nab looking for room to run. Oscar Marks takes him down. Marks, the outstanding freshman from Summit, New Jersey, 1 of 2 Franklin and Marshall first years to make the all-conference team. Watch 15, come up from his safety position, fights off the block, and trips up the Eastern quarterback, and that's going to bring on Westfield. Albero will wait to receive the kick at his own 40-yard line. Westfield's first kick, 32 yards. Low line drive, Albero will call fair catch. There's a flag on the field, and Franklin Marshall is going to be called for running into the kicker. Umpires are discussing. Westfield certainly celebrating on the sideline. Let's wait for the call.
Running into the kicker, receiving team number 46, 5-yard penalty of the previous spot, results in a 1st down.
So first year Michael Pembroke just caught enough of Westfield to draw the flag. Watch again, Pembroke comes up the middle, powers through 3 blockers, and actually was kind of blocked into the kicker. tough call will go against the Diplomats, but the Eagles will keep the drive alive, 1st and 10. Ball at the Eastern 31-yard line. Now, Nab will go in motion top of the screen. Avrilian will take the direct snap. Cuts back through the middle. Avrilian has room to run. He's in the open. Avrilian across midfield to the 40. Steps out of bounds at the 32-yard line. The junior running back from Miami Gardens, Florida, with a 37-yard run. And the Eagles back in Franklin Marshall territory on the run by Avrilian.
Official stop on the field to fix the chains.
So we have an official stoppage of play while the chains are untangled. "37 yards on the run after the running into the kicker penalty. And Eastern now has rushed for 181 yards so far today. Now find themselves in business at the F&M 32. Avrilian lines up in the pistol behind Nab. Nab on the keeper. Tries the right end, gets away from Checchio before Marks knocks him off his pins. Pickup of 4 on the play to the 28 brings up 2nd and 6. Now Avrilian will check out of the lineup. Eric Smith, sophomore out of Philadelphia. He wears number 31. He comes in the backfield. Second and 6, ball at the 28. Smith gets the handoff, and he powers his way into the red zone, down to the 19-yard line. Pickup of 9. And Eastern's running game just continues to churn out yardage. The Eagles, as we said, 11th in the country in rushing offense, averaging nearly 237 yards per game. And right now, Franklin Marshall, who has had difficulty stopping the rush all season long, is struggling against the Eastern offensive attack. Smith again across the 15, just shy of the 14-yard line, pickup of 4. When the Eagles get into the red zone, the Eagles score 4 out of every 5 times. They come up with a touchdown 66% of the time. Diplomat defense has limited teams to only 59% scoring touchdowns when inside his own 20. 8:18 to go, first half. Eagles on top of the Diplomats, 14-7. Steve Ulrich with you on Diplomat TV. Now, 2 running backs set for the Eagles. First time they've shown this formation today. Nab will keep. Fights his way up the middle, inside the 10. He's down to about the 8-yard line. It will be 1st and goal, Eagles. Makes a nice ball for it. You gotta respect Avrilian getting the ball. And Nab, with his 202-pound frame, just lowers the shoulder and powers ahead. First and goal, midway through the second quarter. Nicolopoulos and Guy Bruton are at the bottom of the screen. Avrilian, the lone back, 2 tight end set. We got movement up front. Flag, and I believe that's going to go against the Eagles.
Prior to any infraction, first charge, timeout of the half, Eastern.
So Eastern calls timeout. And we will reset the game clock. We had an opportunity to talk with Eastern head coach Billy Crocker during the week, trying to find out when he thought he saw the moment when success was coming for the Eagles.
I go back a lot to the end of last season in that last game, and I think that did so much for our program against FDU and how we finished that year, being down what we were down at halftime. And there's so many lessons learned from that game alone that helped spring us into this year.
Most of the play.
Eastern, as we said, a third-year program. Located in St. David's, Pennsylvania, just about 55 miles east of where we are in Lancaster. 100th anniversary of the school that was founded at Eastern Baptist Theological Seminary. Changed its name to Eastern University in 1972. Eastern with an enrollment of just north of 1,400 students. And right now, their football team in year 3, as you see on your screen. First and goal. Two tight ends move to the top of the formation. Nab gives to Avrillian. Avrillian cuts back, reaches across the goal line. He stops short. Just shy of the goal line is the junior running back from Miami Gardens, Florida. Watch the cutback again by Avrillian. Really nice job. He plants the right foot. He cuts back, cuts against the grain. He's able to pick up more yards. Avrillian now 9 carries, 83 yards in the first half. Once again, 2 tight ends set for the Eagles. As Nab bootlegs it around the corner, touchdown, Eastern. Brett Nab on the quarterback keeper. Finds his way to the end zone and gets the Eagles back to a 2-possession lead. It's 20-7. John Nowak on to attempt the extra point. Nowak's kick is up, and it is good. 6:34 to go in the first half. The Eagles take advantage of the roughing the kicker call. 10 plays, 81 yards, 6:07 off the clock, and extend the advantage to 21-7. You know, we also had a chance to catch up with Eastern quarterback Brett Nab earlier in the week, talk about his designated runs as he is the leader of this offense.
Most of the plays are designed run plays for myself. There are a few where the play breaks down a little bit and I'll try to make something happen. And we do have some run pass options as well. So it's a mix of all three, but mainly the design runs for me.
Nab so far today, 11 carries, 78 yards. He has found pay dirt twice, and he has been all that was advertised as a handful. Pulls it right out of the belly of Avrillian. Turns the corner. Scores his 9th touchdown of the season. Now Nowak will go ready to kick to Sobieski and Marks. Kick is short. Take one bounce to the 16. Sobieski picks it up. Going to try the far sideline. And he'll get out to about the 30-yard line, where Franklin Marshall will take over 1st and 10. As we said, Eastern University, this is its 3rd year as varsity football for Franklin Marshall. It's the 139th year of football since 1887. Franklin Marshall has only had 2 10-win seasons in history. Legendary coach Tom Gilberg won 10 games in 1989. And John Troxel also reached double figures with the 2017 team. Mike Phelan trying to do that in his first season with the Diplomats. 1st and 10 F&M, ball on the 30-yard line. Paris just off the right shoulder of Tremba. 4 wide receiver set. Tremba looks to throw. Now Tremba will tuck it under. Dives toward the 35-yard line where he is wrapped up by Jason Bateman, junior linebacker from Upper Darby, Pennsylvania. Bateman, the defensive player of the year in the Middle-Atlantic Conference. Pickup of 3 for Tremba, 2nd and 7. Eastern 189 total yards, just 87 for Franklin and Marshall. 2nd and 7. Lewis at the top of the screen. Eitner and Harrison at the bottom. Gives to Paris. Paris finds the hole off the right side. And Lewis Paris powers his way to about the 47-yard line. Gain of 14 for the first year at Scranton, Pennsylvania. His best run of the day. Watch the blocking up front. Nice job by Ben Ostrowski, 68. Opening the hole. And Trip ready. Delivered the block on Gashawn Moody. Free Paris for 14, 1st and 10. Ball on the F&M 47-yard line. 5:15 and counting, second quarter. Lewis at the top of the screen. Tremba will throw in the left flat, complete to Lewis. And he is hit out of bounds. Franklin Marshall partisans calling for a late hit on Tajir Jackson Alston, number 9. Moves into Eastern Territory at the 49-yard line. Pick up a 4 for Gary Lewis. Second catch of the day for the Centennial Conference Offensive Player of the Year. Now Tremba in empty set. Paris will come in motion. Ball fake. Tremba will throw down the left sideline. Lewis and Alston tangled up. Ball goes over the head of Lewis. Will bring up third down. 6 yards to go. Diplomats 1 of 3 on third downs today. Watch at the top of the screen. Jackson Alston got a quick check on Lewis at the line of scrimmage. Kind of bumped Gary off his route. And that's going to bring up third and long. Tremba looks over the sideline for a new play. Play clock at 10. 4 wide receivers set for F&M. Tremba just beats the buzzer. Looks deep. Looks to throw. Ball knocked free. F&M will fall on it. But Jason Bateman came in from his linebacker position. Knocked the ball out of the hands of Tremba. Ben Ostrowski lucky to fall on it for F&M. Bateman, one of those rare athletes you're going to find at Division III. Not only a linebacker, but he's also a sprinter on the track team. Bateman, who has run a 7.07 in the indoor 60. He's run a sub-11 second 100 meters, and he showed his speed right there to knock the ball free from Tremba. 4th and 14. Harlamov, low, spiraling kick. We fielded by Nicolopoulos. He drops the ball. It is on the turf, and Eastern came back up with it. Franklin and Marshall not able to capitalize on the Nicolopoulos muff. Watch again. Right through the wickets. Ball landed right where Nicolopoulos fell. And with 3:45 to go, we have an injured player on the field. We had an opportunity to talk to Franklin and Marshall head coach Michael Phelan about the biggest challenge that the Diplomats are facing.
We have a lot of new faces playing for us this year. We graduated a special group last year, so we had a lot of new guys step in and have to make plays. So I think the biggest challenge was just getting everybody on the same page, getting new faces ready to play Centennial Conference football.
3:45 to go. In the first half, Franklin Marshall trailing Eastern by a score of 21-7. Steve Ulrich with you on Diplomat TV and ESPN Plus today. Hope you're enjoying today's broadcast. Take a quick look around the out-of-town scoreboard. Other action in the NCAAs today, and if you're paying any attention to the weather has impacted a lot of games in the Midwest, not so much in the Northeast. 5 minutes to go, first half. Mount Union putting the wood to Muhlenberg. Purple Raiders leading the Mules by a score of 28-0. 3:44 to go, second quarter. Johns Hopkins on top of Springfield by a score of 20-7. 6 minutes to go in the first half. Susquehanna on the road leading undefeated Christopher Newport by a score of 21-7. John Carroll, champions of the North Coast Athletic Conference, lead Randolph-Macon by a score of 14-6. LaGrange College out of Alabama leads Berry College from Georgia by a score of 14-8. Late minutes of the second quarter. In one of those snowstorms we're talking about in Grand Rapids, Michigan, Wisconsin, La Crosse, and Hope, it's a scoreless tie. Elsewhere, 6 minutes to go, second quarter. Salisbury leads Endicott by a score of 13-7. 1 o'clock starts. Hardin Simmons against Trinity University of San Antonio. Hanover against defending national champion North Central. Alma versus Platteville of Wisconsin. Cohen Bethel, Wheaton and Wartburg, DePaul and Wisconsin Whitewater, Monmouth and St. John's, and Chapman and UW River Falls. And that is your out-of-town scoreboard. Player still down on the field, and that is Justin Nicolopoulos, who was sandwiched by 2 Franklin Marshall defenders after muffing the punt. The ball landed right at his feet. He was able to save the possession for the Eagles, but he will come off the field with the help of the medical staff. So Eastern will take over, 1st and 10. Ball on its own 21-yard line, 3:45 to go, first half. And the Eagles have rushed for 176 yards, thrown for just 13, but have found pay dirt 3 times so far today. Now the ball with 2 timeouts remaining. Avrilian, the lone setback. Nab throws complete. Devin Johnston, 5'9" junior out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, just his 5th catch of the season. But he will move the chains. Ball goes 13 yards to the 34. 9th first down of the day for the Eagles. Nab taking his time. 3 wide receiver set. Nab, ball pulled out, ball on the turf. Franklin Marshall signaling they have it, and the Diplomats do. Nab and Avrilian can't connect on the handoff. Ball pops free, and Franklin Marshall in business. Watch again. Miscue on the handoff, lands right at the feet of Banghart. Checchio was in there as well. And Franklin Marshall looking to capitalize on the miscue. 1st and 10, ball on the Eastern 31-yard line. Paris, the lone setback. Takes the handoff, he hit quickly by Clack. Powers forward to about the 29. These 2 teams are among the 2 best in Division III in protecting the ball. Franklin Marshall has just lost 1 fumble all season long. Eastern, coming into the game, has just turned it over on the ground 3 times. That's fumble number 4. Now Franklin Marshall looking forward to looking for the opportunity to capitalize. Pickup of 2 for Paris, 2nd and 8. Lewis at the bottom of the screen, Harrison and Eitner. The 2 receivers at the top of the screen. Tremba steps up in the pocket, throws toward the end zone. Harrison, touchdown! Franklin and Marshall. 29 yards, Ty Tremba to Jack Harrison. And Franklin and Marshall back within a score. It's 21-13. Harrison at the top of your screen. Heads to the post, and Tremba hits his junior wide receiver from Allentown, Pennsylvania. In stride, 6th touchdown catch of the year for Harrison. Now Fleming on to try the conversion. 21-13. Fleming, his kick is good. Franklin Marshall capitalizes on the Eastern turnover. 29 yards, Tremba to Harrison. 2:13 to go here in the first half. And things were looking bleak for Franklin Marshall, down 21-7. Eastern with the ball. But 2 plays, taking advantage of the fumble. 2 plays, 31 yards. The Diplomats are back within 1 score. It's 21-14. Steve Ulrich with you on Diplomat TV. So glad you're spending part of your Saturday afternoon with us. Second round NCAA Division III Championship Tournament coming up at halftime. We're going to have an interview with Portia Hoy, the commissioner of the Centennial Conference and a member of the Division III Football Committee. So I hope you'll stay with us for that. As the kick will be fielded by Rivera at the 5. Carner was able to slow him down, and he's finally dropped at the 26-yard line, where Eastern will take over 1st and 10, 2:06 on the clock, and with 2 timeouts remaining. Eastern 30 plays, 199 total yards. F&M just 19 for 128. Diplomats 108 yards through the air. Eastern, the offensive line has won the day so far, 173 yards on the ground. Now Nab in an empty backfield. 1st and 10 Eagles, ball marked at the 27-yard line. Nab on the design run, breaks through to the second level. We brought down at the 41-yard line after a gain of 14. And timeout on the field. Watch Nab. Strong enough to break through the first level. Then when he gets to the second level, it's up to Avancho to drop him for a loss. We'll take 30 seconds right here. You're watching Division III football on ESPN+. So Eastern has a little extra help pulling for them today. Last week during a press conference, they got a shout out from Philadelphia Eagles defense coordinator Vic Fangio.
Playbook that if you need to be in those situations more, you feel good with them out there?
I do.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
I want to give a shout out to Eastern University, the hottest football team in Philly.
Oh boy.
They won their league and they're in the Division III playoffs for the first time.
Quite still.
Eastern defensive coordinator Corey David is the husband of Katie David, who's the chief of staff to Philadelphia Eagles GM Howie Roseman. So the Eagles getting a little brotherly love from their fellow Philadelphia team as Nab keeps it off the right side. Going to be marked just shy of midfield at the 49-yard line. We'll bring up 2nd and 8. Keenan on the stop. Cody Green, the 6'4", 311-pound senior right tackle, has done the job today. Opening holes off that right side, this time Avrilian. We'll go behind Pettit and Green once again, the preferred side. Avrilian once again plants that right foot with the cutback, picks up 1st down yardage. Into F&M territory at the 47-yard line. Now Nab, another one of those designed runs. Nab will scurry out of bounds after a gain of 3, stepping out of the F&M 44-yard line, 73 seconds to go here in the first half. Nab now 14 carries, 103 yards. 7th time that the grad quarterback from Avalon, New Jersey has gone over the century mark this season. And he's done it all here in the first 30 minutes. Now 2 setbacks, flanking Nab either side. Nab will take it himself. He's going to be dragged down at the 40-yard line, Owen Banghart, sophomore from Nazareth, Pennsylvania, 6'4", 240 pounds. And that's going to bring up a 3rd and 3. Line to gain is the 37-yard line. F&M sideline exhorting the crowd to make some noise. Clock running, 40 seconds to go. Avrilian met right at the line of scrimmage by Checchio and drops him for a loss. Checchio made the first contact. Keenan and Banghart come in for the finish. Watch Checchio, number 31, shoots the gap and stops the Floridian. He'll bring up 4th and 4. Eastern on the year. 7 of 12 going for it on 4th down. The Eagles just going to let the clock run. They may run it down and run one final play. And that would not surprise me if Billy Crocker doesn't call timeout right here. So 2.2 seconds to go. Certainly Franklin Marshall will not have enough time to run another play, but Eastern does. The final play of the first half coming up here. We spoke to Franklin and Marshall senior captain Sam Keenan. What it was like being the captain of the F&M's first NCAA team.
It means the world to me, my teammates, my coaches, the alumni. And I don't think we've won the conference outright since the 90s, and we really have had an incredible experience, and it means the world to us to be where we're at right now.
F&M playing football since 1887. And Ty Tremba, Gary Lewis, Sam Keenan, the tri-captains of the first F&M team ever to make the NCAA tournament. One last play. It's 4th and 4. That doesn't matter. 2.2 seconds. That's what matters. Franklin Marshall certainly in a prevent situation. Deep, big play man, Justin Nicolopoulos, was injured on the muffed punt. He is not on the field. Isaiah Guy Bruton, number 8 at the top of the screen. Chris Rivera at the bottom of the screen. Last play of the first half. Nab will give to Avrilian. Avrilian tries to find running room. He picks up first down yardage, but not enough to find the end zone, and that will do it. 30 minutes of football in the books here at Shattuck Stadium in Lancaster. Second round action, NCAA Division III tournament. Eastern will head to the locker room, leading Franklin and Marshall by a score of 21-14. Coming up next, Division III halftime show. After a short timeout, we'll talk to a member of the NCAA Division III Football Committee, Portia Hoy. And we'll also have first half stats, first half highlights, and a look around the NCAA scoreboard. That's all coming up next. You're watching Division III Championship Football action on ESPN+.
There are countless ways to measure success. Winning, achieving, standing head and shoulders above the crowd. For some people, that's the ideal. But as diplomats, we believe true, fulfilling success is achieved together, collaboratively, not competitively. We do more than set new standards of excellence. We reimagine what excellence means, reinventing, reinvigorating, reaching new heights. Whatever fields of study we pursue, whatever career we're aspiring to, our first commitment is to each other and the people who make us who we are, the ones dearest to us. Diplomats grow in community a diverse mosaic of students and teachers learning from and with each other, sharing ideas, and contributing to our collective knowledge for the betterment of our world. It's more than what you learn, it's how you learn and who you learn with. While subjects can be taught, memorized, and tested, respect is experienced. In each of us, we see a lifetime of stories, hopes, dreams, and infinite promise. A person is as unique as a song or an equation, and our education is as unique as we are. Together, we will shape a better future. The world needs diplomats.
Nobody's harder than me. I'm a breaker of chains. I'm living it free. Trust what I said and not what you see. Nobody keep it in order like me. I'm really a beast and I'm out in the wild. The girl in my eye and I want it right now. That's a vow and I gotta get it. The future is mine. You trying to compete? It's wasted time. Came from the ground.
We thank you, God, that today begins a tradition. Today moves us closer to that goal that you have for us and we have for ourselves.
Respect. I live this life, then on to the next. Give me respect. I live this life, then on to the next. I flex different than them boys that have been grinding strong. You just gotta win up cause it's money and it's fortune long. But I'ma get my bag every day. It don't matter what you want. Make sure you check yourself. Talk about me, but you talking wrong. Closer to home I can get. Certified OG, paid all my debt. With my flows, power supreme. Come from below, it's in my genes. I talk what I like, that's real nice things. Side down before approaching the king. Muscle strong, think money and power. I'm on the trail like a hop in the shower. Pick up the brick like a bed in the tower. And when you get into my final hour. And my rain grow like a flower. I give it bad, I don't be in it. I'm on my way, doing my flex, running it up, getting my checks. I got the power, give me respect. Live this life, on to the next. Respect. I live this life, then on to the next. Give me respect. I live this life, then on to the next.
Through all the hard days and all the scary stuff.
Through all the tears and moments.
We'll always have our team behind us.
Team Impact places kids with serious illness and disabilities on college sports teams.
With athletes who support and inspire us.
While we do the same for them.
1, 2, 3.
All in, all together.
Team Impact, all in, all together.
Tell me what it is that you need.
Up. Hi, my name is Lucy. I'm a senior from Baltimore, Maryland, here at Franklin and Marshall College.
Hi, I'm Alex. I am a sophomore from Denver, Colorado, here at Franklin Marshall.
The college search process is one of the most exciting times in your life. We're here to help you and your family prepare and offer you 5 tips to help you figure out where you might want to spend your undergraduate years.
Let's get started.
Talk to your family and college counselor about what you might be looking for in a college. Things like size, location, academics, and affordability are all things you might want to consider when making your initial list.
Visit colleges' websites to learn more about academics and social life. Fill out the short form on colleges' website so they can learn more information about you. Sign up for updates from colleges that intrigue you.
Follow the social media accounts of the top colleges you're interested in. You can get a great sense of student life on campus by seeing the students that are featured on the college's Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube.
At many schools like F&M, students will take over social media accounts for a day to give you a first-person view of life on campus.
Explore websites that offer reviews of colleges straight from the students who call that campus home. Websites like Niche, CollegeVine, and College Confidential offer reviews of campuses of over 4,000 colleges.
Make a list of colleges you'd like to see in person. Most colleges offer online signups for tours and information sessions you can schedule months in advance.
Visits, even virtual ones, can go a long way in telling you if a college is the right fit for you.
Thanks for watching.
And good luck with your college search.
I believe sportsmanship is a mutual admiration and respect for your fellow competitors. We all go through a lot to reach the point where we compete against one another. It's important to realize that. So once we're finally on the field or on the court or on the starting block, we look at each other as fellow human beings and not just competitors. Being able to recognize the hard work that other athletes are putting in creates a more positive and inclusive environment.
Ever wonder if you were born for something more? You have breath in your lungs, ideas in your head, and passions in your heart. Why? Why are you here? In this moment? In this point in history? In this place? At Eastern University, we know that you've been pieced together creatively, uniquely, and wonderfully. Your purpose is tied up in God's promise to restore and make all things new. Your exact makeup makes you an important part of a much bigger plan. At Eastern, your educational journey is rooted in our transformative core values of faith, reason, and justice. Our vibrant Christian community provides opportunities to deepen your faith while extending your hands in service. Intentional and caring professors engage in material and conversations begging the bigger questions, like why we're here and how we can make a difference. Competitive athletics and dynamic fine arts sharpen minds while strengthening character. Our beautiful campus provides the perfect setting for budding friendships and lasting social impact in our greater global community. Eastern University's great passion is helping you make sense of your call and putting it into action. We're committed to igniting change in our world. Are you? If so, come join us.
At Team Impact, we pair kids who have been sidelined by serious illness and disability with college teams from across the country.
What's up, big man? You good?
It's more than a single-day meet and greet or photo opportunity. Our program places kids on a multi-year journey, becoming true members of a collegiate athletics team.
We are Penn State.
From signing day to game day.
I can't describe it. It feels amazing.
Team Impact. All in, all together.
Halftime at Shattuck Stadium in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Eastern on top of Franklin and Marshall by a score of 21-14. Division III Football Championship second round. My name is Steve Ulrich, and I'm pleased to be joined by a member of the Division III Football Committee. Also serves as Executive Director of the Centennial Conference, Portia Hoy. Portia, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, Steve.
Well, first of all, let me talk to you a little bit about the Centennial Conference. I mean, there's got to be a lot of Centennial pride right now with a three-bid Centennial.
Yes, we are super excited to have three of our teams in action today. I'm watching a lot of scores, obviously, here at F&M. So first time ever we've had this happen, and we couldn't be more proud as a conference to be cheering on all of our mates. It just shows from top to bottom how strong we continue to get as a league.
Now, your background, you were in athletic administration. You've come all the way through to become a commissioner in Division III. Tell us where you've stopped along the way.
Yes, so I started out as an intern. First opportunity through the NCAA grant program was tremendous for me, helped me learn the ins and outs of the NCAA, specifically Division III. I was a Division III student athlete. I played basketball at Trinity University. And then I just traveled wherever I could get a gig, really. I was up north at Smith College. That's where my internship was for 2 years there. Also did a brief stint at Vassar as an interim assistant AD. I was at Lake Forest College in the Midwest, just north of Chicago, as an assistant AD and an associate AD. And then my first AD job was at Allegheny College in Meadville, Pennsylvania. Had a brief stop at Rhodes, and then was fortunate enough to fill your very big shoes and become the commissioner executive director of the Centennial Conference.
Which is obviously why I asked the question.
Obviously, yes.
Obviously. So now you're a member of the Division III Football Committee as well. Can you tell me a little bit about what goes on behind the scenes? It's something that, someone watching the broadcast might say, what does the committee do anymore, especially now since you, in theory, don't select the teams?
Correct. So this is my first year on the committee. It has been tremendous. I will say I'm still learning a lot, but the committee, the MPI really does the work for us on the front end, and then we assist with the bracketing of it. A lot of us are out there on the road right now being site reps, trying to see how everything's going at every single game that's going on today. But it's always good to get your hands dirty and work in a committee structure, as you have done, to really get an understanding how things work. I think it's easy to look from the outside looking in and say, well, this should have happened and that should have happened. But until you're actually in the room where it happens, it really has opened my eyes to, the structure of everything and how hard everyone really works to try to make sure that it's balanced and it's competitive. And we have a tremendous committee led by Coach Snell, and he's just been amazing. So I'm learning a lot from all the coaches and administrators on there, and hope to continue to grow since this is my first year.
I think one of the great things about any NCAA national tournament is just bringing teams from different geographic regions.
Absolutely.
But certainly football becomes more of a challenge with the Division III budget and the schools on the West Coast that may need to fly.
Yes, absolutely. And I know people speak to that every single year. It's almost a guarantee, but we really are, hamstrung in looking at the budget. I hope one day maybe we can overcome that challenge, but right now that really does deter us in certain ways as we put together the bracket. And as someone from Texas, I feel that, I'm a Trinity alum. So I look at them, I'm like, well, you're probably going to Hardin-Simmons, or you're probably going to Mary Hardin-Baylor. I see that and I feel that, and I hope we get to a point where one day we're not as limited in that capacity.
So tonight, what goes into the decision on who's going to host the third round games?
I believe it's going to come down to the MPI and obviously who is put in to host. So I know that we're constantly looking at hosting bids and who's done their due diligence on the front end. So I believe that's what's going to, as well as who's won, right, and who's moving forward, that'll come into play.
Final question for you, and we'll let you go. Any issues today with the snow around the Midwest?
Well, according to the group chat, yes, there is a little bit of weather issues out there. It's beautiful here in Lancaster, PA. Looks beautiful down there at Hopkins, but we've definitely seen some snow in the forecast, really cold weather. So hopefully everyone who's listening is staying safe, and shout out to our athletic trainers who are working really hard to keep the athletes, nice and warm and cozy when they're not out there on the field. But yes, weather is definitely becoming a factor. That's what happens when you play football in late November going into December, right?
And people love watching games in a snow globe, but we got a 7-point game here, so it will be able to keep most of us in tune with us. Portia Hoy, thank you so much for spending time with us. A member of the Division III Football Committee and also the Executive Director of the Centennial Conference. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
We'll be right back. You're watching Division III Football Action on ESPN+.
Home is a place where you belong. A community where people know your name and you know theirs. Home is 1,000 little places you love. 1,000 smiles, 1,000 memories, 1,000 inside jokes. Home is a launch pad for where you're going next. It's a place where you can grow your wings. A place where you can become more of who you are made to be. At Eastern University, we think college shouldn't just be an education. It should be a home. Because when college is a home, it's something special. Something you remember forever. Something you love. Home is a place you want to share, and we want to invite you to join ours.
Any student who's had me will know that when I ask a question in class, I actually am not as interested that you knew that answer. What I want to know is, why is that the answer? Since I was an undergraduate and really kind of fell in love with working in the lab in chemistry, I was really interested in expanding, applying that understanding of chemistry to the environment. I knew that what was happening in the beaker at the lab bench had to be the same kind of chemistry that was happening in oceans, marine sediments, and different environments. When I went to graduate school, I was really interested in understanding how trace metals moved in these kind of environments, because you could use them as past recorders for understanding past environmental conditions. And if we can understand the past, we can help better understand what our future is going to look like. The walk to get somewhere is thinking about the process, right? All the things that happen on the way to the destination. And that is a close analogy with chemistry, right? What is it about this thing and this thing that causes them not only to react, but to react in a very specific way? When you see a student whose eyes open a little wider and they get it.
Halftime at Shattuck Stadium in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Second round Division III football action. Eastern on top of Franklin Marshall by a score of 21-14. Steve Ulrich with you on ESPN Plus. Let's take a look at the first half stats. Eastern dominating on the ground. 206 yards, just 20 for Franklin Marshall. Brett Knapp, 15 carries, 107 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jeremiah Avrilian, 13 carries for 90 yards and a score. But Franklin Marshall has tried to balance things out through the air. Ty Tremba, 6 of 8 through the air, 108 yards. Nab, 4 of 6 for 26. Gary Lewis and Jack Harrison, the two big receivers for Franklin Marshall. Lewis, 2 catches for 49 yards and a score. Harrison, 1 catch for 29 yards and a touchdown. Checchio and Keenan, each with 7 tackles for the Diplomats. Jason Bateman leading the Eagles with 6 stops overall. Time of possession, as you can well imagine with Eastern's ground game, the Eagles have held possession for 19 minutes and 19 seconds. Franklin Marshall for 10 minutes and 41 seconds. Let's take a look at some first half highlights from the action. Eastern got on this board first. Brett Knapp, the graduate student from Avalon, New Jersey, powers his way into the end zone. And then Nab, showing his strength, breaks through the second level, now races Oscar Marks to the end zone. Eagles led it by a score of 14-0. Diplomats would answer. Ty Tremba throws to Gary Lewis. And Lewis, the Centennial Conference Offensive Player of the Year, dances in the end zone. It's 14-7. We'll watch the ball wizardry from Nab. Takes the handoff to Avrilian, runs around the right end. Eagles were on top 21-7. And then a miscue between Nab and Avrilian led to a turnover. And Franklin Marshall would answer as Tremba would step up in the pocket, throws to the post where Jack Harrison would pull it in. Diplomats made a 1-score game in the final 2 minutes and trail Eastern by a score of 21-14. Now let's take a look at other scores from around the Division III National Tournament. Susquehanna leads Christopher Newport by a score of 21-7 at the half. Also at the break, Johns Hopkins on top of Springfield by 13, 20-7. Mount Union putting the wood to Muhlenberg, leading the Mules by a score of 35-0. John Carroll, third quarter score, leads Randolph-Macon 14-6. Other scores at the half, Salisbury leads Endicott 20-7. LaGrange on top of Berry and Hope and Whitewater are scoreless at the break. First quarter score, River Falls and Chapman are scoreless. North Central and Hanover also without any points. Trinity leads Hardin-Simmons by a score of 7-0. Wartburg in a snowstorm on top of Wheaton 7-0. Bethel on top of Co 13-zip. St. John's leads Monmouth 7-0. Platteville on top of Alma by a score of 3-0. And Whitewater and DePauw are scoreless in the first quarter. And that is your out-of-town scoreboard. Both teams have returned to the field for the second half of action. Diplomats will receive the ball first to get things started. Franklin and Marshall 2-1 when trailing at the half this season, while the Eagles 7-1 when leading at the break. Only loss coming to Lebanon Valley. Flying Dutchman knocking off the Eagles 24-21 in Anvil on a field goal as time expired. As we mentioned, Eastern 13-2 over its last 15 games. And currently the Middle Atlantic Conference champs lead the Centennial Conference champs by a score of 21-14. Diplomats kind of used to being in this position. 2 weeks ago against Johns Hopkins, trailed the third-ranked team in the country by a score of 21-0. Before scoring the final 21 points of regulation, Hopkins scored first in overtime. Diplomats answered, went for the win with a 2-point conversion and got it to win the Centennial Conference Championship and earn the automatic berth to the tournament by defeating the Blue Jays by a score of 29-28. Key to success for Franklin Marshall in the second half, obviously, it's going to slow down this Eastern rushing attack. 212 yards for the Eagles on the ground, a team that averages 236 on the ground for 60 minutes, but 212 for the first 30 minutes of this contest. Oscar Marks and James Sobieski will go back to receive the kickoff of John Nolick. Nolick, whose younger brother Frankie plays for the Philadelphia Union, another Philadelphia connection, whether it's the Eagles defense coordinator Vic Fangio, whether it's the Philadelphia Union's Frankie Nolick. After the Eagles lost yesterday, the Eastern University Eagles are now Philadelphia's team for the day. And Nolick will put his foot in the ball. Low line drive kick. Sobieski will stop it at the 15, finally pick it up, has some running room on the right. Now decides to just go up the middle, goes down at the 23-yard line. Diplomats will take over 1st and 10. Ty Tremba leads the team on the field. Tremba 6 of 8, 108 yards through the air. A couple of touchdown passes to Gary Lewis and Jack Harrison. Tremba has also been sacked 3 times. So Tremba and Paris in the backfield. Sawadkis, the lone wide receiver, to the bottom of the screen. Lewis at the top of the screen as F&M comes out in 12 personnel with 2 tight ends. Now Shivas goes in motion, lines up on the left side. Paris takes the handoff, and Lewis Paris breaks through the second level. And it looked like from our angle that the defender got his hand around Paris's helmet. But Lewis Paris, 13 yards on the carry, behind the good blocking up front. You'll see Paris's helmet come back here. Looked like Deshaun Moody got maybe the ear hole of the helmet. 1st and 10, Franklin and Marshall. 7th first down for Franklin and Marshall today. Just underway, 3rd quarter. Diplomats trail the Eagles 21-14. Here on ESPN Plus, glad to have you with us today. Shivas goes in motion. This is Jaden Richards. Richards, the first year out of Scotch Plains, New Jersey, makes his way for 4 to the 40-yard line. Franklin and Marshall Today, without the services of sophomore running back Anthony Valdez. Valdez attending to a family matter. We'll send our best to Anthony and his family. Now Shutt goes in motion. He'll line up as the H-back on the near side. Tremba pulls it out, and Tremba gets across midfield. He's going to be wrestled down at the 46-yard line, gain of 14, best run of the day for Tremba. And F&M comes out pounding the rock here to start the third quarter. Richards drew the attention of Wayne Clark, and Tremba pulled it back out and moves into Eastern territory at the 46. Richards still in the backfield as the lone step back, 3 wide receiver set. Lewis starts in motion, goes back to the top of the screen. Tremba gives to Richards. He's able to break through the tackle with Shamad Clack, but couldn't get any further. Back to the line of scrimmage, maybe a loss of 1. Cole Jones comes in and finishes him off. Here's the initial hit. Richards keeps his feet, but Jones, the junior from York, Pennsylvania, wraps him up. Loss of 1 on the play, 2nd and 11. Now Tremba will get another play from the sideline. Paris in the backfield along with him. Ball in the Eastern 47-yard line. Tremba, flush, dumps it off to Paris, and Paris is met immediately. Big hit by Jason Bateman. Bateman, first team All-MAC. Watch him close the gap. Paris corrals it. May have been Moody, actually, on the tackle. Bring up 3rd and 7. Diplomats 1 for 4 in the day, converting 3rd downs. Diplomats 42% on the season. Tremba under heavy pressure, and that pass is picked off. Jaden Todd, the sophomore out of Philadelphia, steps in front of Jack Harrison. And the Diplomats turn it over on the first possession of the third quarter. Watch again. Todd makes a nice break on the ball. He comes up with his first interception of 2025. Ball spotted at the 37-yard line of Eastern. 3 wide receiver set. Nasik Smith at the top of the screen. Johnston and Guy Bruton at bottom. Nab loses the handle. Falls on it at the 30-yard line. Loss of 7 on the play. Eastern with some uncharacteristic mistakes. As we said, Eagles 18th in the country. And fumbles lost. That one Nab's able to recover. Johnston in motion, top of the screen. 2nd and 17. Nab looks to throw. Now flushed out of the pocket. And Austin Hadley will stop him before he gets going. Going to bring up 3rd and long for the Eagles. Hadley doesn't commit too far. Nab rushes by Kelly, but Hadley able to wrap up. Nab is 3rd and 14. The Eagles looking for the play from the sideline. Now Avrilian lines up to the left of Nab. Play clock at 4. Nab drops straight back. Nab looks to run, and Kyle Checchio drops him for a loss. And that's going to force the Eagles to punt. Watch Checchio, number 31. Sheds the block of John Pettit and brings down Nab. John Westfield on to punt. Westfield, one punt for 32-yard average today. Albero back to receive. Albero picks it up at the 41. Gets right about to midfield as Westfield did his best to try to draw another flag. There is a whistle and a flag down right about where Albero was hit. And I think we may have a discussion about whether or not we have a targeting call. What is Albero hit in the helmet? Let's watch again.
During the return, personal foul, targeting, kicking team number 25.
You can see
this
it.
Play is under further review.
And the call is targeting. Curtis Johnson, I think, is the player that was flagged. I thought I heard 25. Now the officials will go to the blue tent to look at the video review. Take a look, coming in from the top of the screen. Helmet is lowered right into the side of Albero's helmet. And that may cost Curtis Johnson the rest of this game in the first half, should there be a game next week. We're going to take a short time out while the officials review the targeting. We'll be back in 30 seconds. You're watching Division III football on ESPN+.
Proportion to me is the lived experience of our Division III student athletes. They balance life from an academic perspective and the rigors of competing at a high level, bonding with teammates and building lifelong friendships. But they also are involved in their communities. They work jobs and internships and volunteer. They've learned to be resilient. Diverse experiences are setting them up for the future.
We are in the midst of a targeting review. Chris Albero fielded the Eastern punt at his own 41, picked up about 9 yards, and watch the top of the screen, number 25, Curtis Johnson, comes in, lowers the helmet, and is definitely helmet-to-helmet contact. Now we're just awaiting on the decision from referee Sean Burke. Nonetheless, it's going to be 15 yards for Franklin Marshall on the personal foul. The question is, will Johnson remain in this contest? Franklin Marshall crowd beginning to come to life, and here comes our referee, Sean Burke.
After review, there is no targeting on the play. It is overturned. The result of the play stands. First down.
So targeting is overturned upon review. Not sure if there was a flag for personal foul or is only called for targeting. So the ball is apparently not going to be moved. It'll be 1st and 10, Franklin Marshall. Ball at midfield. Scores from other games. 9 minutes to go, third quarter. Susquehanna on top of Christopher Newport, 28-7. The winner of this one takes on the winner of that one next week in the Sweet 16. 1st and 10, ball at midfield. Paris, the lone running back, 3 wide receivers set, Lewis to the top of the screen. Now Shutt and Eitner both go in motion. Now both established with the play clock at 5. Tremba looks, steps up in the pocket, and will tuck it in. Tremba dives forward to about the 42-yard line, pickup of 8. He'll bring up 2nd and 2. Other scores involving Centennial Conference teams in the NCAA today, midway through the third quarter. Mount Union leads Muhlenberg by a score of 42-0. Midway through the third quarter, and Baltimore's Johns Hopkins on top of Springfield by a score of 20-7. 2nd and 2. 8 minutes, 20 seconds to go here, third quarter. Diplomats trail Eastern by a score of 21-14. Steve Ulrich with you on Diplomat TV, part of ESPN Plus's coverage of Division III football today. Now Tremba looks to follow the block of Paris, but he is short of the line to gain. That's going to bring up third down. F&M 1 of 5 on third downs today. Lewis at the top of the screen, getting press coverage from the corner, as is Zawatkas at the bottom of the screen. Eastern daring F&M to run the ball. Shivas goes in motion, stops on the left side. Tremba now looks deep for Lewis. Lewis, and we're going to get an interference call that's going to go against Tajir Jackson Alston. And they're doing some jawing. The referee's going to have to step between them. But you could see Lewis was definitely impeded.
Pass interference, defense number 9. 15-yard penalty in the previous spot, results in
So
a
you can
first
see
down.
offensive coordinator Matt Quattrone for the Diplomats definitely likes to see one-on-one coverage. Because right now he feels that Lewis can beat Jackson Alston. And Lewis tries to come back to the ball, and you can see Jackson Alston on his back, and that's going to lead to 15 yards F&M. 1st and 10, ball on the Eastern 27-yard line. Shivas in the right slot. Lewis outside near the F&M sideline. They give to Paris. Paris follows the block of Shivas and gets down to the 19-yard line. Excuse me, that's 24-yard line, pickup of 3. Brings up 2nd and 7. Watch Shivas, the lead block, as he picks up Wayne Clark. Paris now 7 carries, 47 yards. 2nd and 7. Ball at the Eagle 24-yard line. Shutt lines up as the H-back at the top. Jaden Richards slices through, gets across the 20, just shy of the line to gain. The 19-yard line, pickup of 5. It's going to bring up 3rd and short. Jaden Richards, 5'9", 185-pounder out of Scotch Plains, New Jersey. Getting some work in the NCAAs today. Now Paris takes a direct snap. He's got 1st down yardage. Following the block of middle linebacker Benny Sands. Number 9 comes in and clears the way for the first year to pick up the 1st down. 10th first down of the day for the Diplomats. Watch Paris follows behind Sands. Also Chris Loeb doing good work at the left tackle. 5:45 and counting. 1st and 10 F&M, ball in the Eagles 16. Tremba throws to the corner of the end zone looking for Eitner. Pass overthrown. Looks like the play was broken at the start. If they wanted to get it out in the flat to Lewis, when that wasn't there, with pressure coming, Tremba threw it basically as far as he could off his back foot. Eitner double covered, but it did go out of the end zone 2nd and 10. 4 wide receivers set. Paris to the 14. 3rd and 8. Tremba 7 of 10 passing today, 112 yards and 2 touchdowns. He has been sacked 3 times. Four wide receivers once again. Lewis at the top of the screen, Harrison in the left slot. 5 minutes and counting, 3rd quarter. Eastern with a 7-point lead. Tremba surveys, Corner, incomplete. Looking for Lewis. But hunting that one was Jaden Todd. We have an injured Eagle on the field. Watch Jackson Alston and Jaden Todd both go for the ball along with Lewis. It's Jackson Alston that took the worst of it. He is down in the field. Injured player will take timeout. You're watching Division III football on ESPN+. Diplomats elect to try for three will be Michael Fleming, the junior from Glen Head, New York, first team All-Centennial place kicker, 9 of 12 on field goal tries this year. This will be spotted at the 21, a 31-yard kick. Kick is up and it splits the uprights. Diplomats come away with 3 points. Now trail Eastern by a score of 21-17. 10th field goal of the year for Fleming. Galligan with the hold, O'Brien with the hold, Galligan with the snap. And F&M finds itself down 4 with 4:41 to go in the third quarter. Other games from around the Division III tournament today. John Carroll leads Randolph-Macon by a score of 28-6. That game just starting the fourth quarter. First 2 minutes of the second half, Barry leads LaGrange 15-14 midway through the third quarter. La Crosse leading Hope by a score of 9-0. Midway through the third quarter, Endicott won better than Salisbury 21-20. Late in the second quarter, Trinity of Texas leads Hardin-Simmons by a score of 20-7. And early in the second quarter, defending national champion North Central leads Hanover by a score of 10-0. Harlamoff will kick it off. And it'll be fielded by Rivera at his 8. Rivera quickly met by the F&M special teams as he stops shy of the 25-yard line. Eagles will take over 1st and 10, 4:35 to go in the third quarter. Other scores from around the country. Wisconsin-Platteville leads Alma 9-7, closing minutes of the first half. Midway through the second quarter, Bethel on top of Co 23-7. Early moments of the second quarter, Wartburg leads Wheaton 13-7. Late in the first half, Wisconsin-Whitewater and DePaul tied at 7. Monmouth trailing St. John's 21-3 early in the second. And River Falls leads Chapman in the second quarter by a score of 14-7. Nab on the keeper, gets a good block on the outside. Finally taken down by Rafe Carner, but tip your cap to junior Dom Franks, a 6'1", 240-pounder out of Pottstown, Pennsylvania. You'll be able to see in the replay as he turns Carner and gives the corner to Nab. Nab for a gain of 16, with now 112 yards on the day. For the graduate student from Avalon, New Jersey. Nab finished his undergraduate degree in May of 2024. With a 3.8 GPA, he's currently pursuing his MBA in organizational management. Nab will keep again, following the block of Cody Green. He picks up 3 yards. Rafe Carner, 6', 180, throwing his body in there against 6'4", 311 Cody Green. Kyle Avancho also sacrificing his body on the play there. Pick up a 3, 2nd and 7. The Eagles riding a 7-game win streak, champions of the Middle Atlantic Conference. The Centennial Conference champions, Diplomats, trail by 4 as we approach 3 minutes to go, third quarter. Knapp throws, complete. Isaiah Guy Bruton, first down, Eagles into F&M territory at the 37-yard line. Pickup of 21. Guy Bruton on a simple slant. Finds room up the middle. For Marks, takes him down. Just the 5th catch of the season for Guy Bruton. 4 previous catches, 3 touchdowns for the senior from Chichester, Pennsylvania. 1st and 10 Eagles in Diplomat territory to 38. Knapp will keep again. Breaks the tackle with Keenan, and finally, Evancho is able to clip his heels and knock him down at the 23-yard line. 15 yards on the play. Watch the blocking up front. When you have a 200-pound quarterback the size of Brett Knapp, he's able to get to the second level. Eastern's got the running game going here again late in the third quarter. Eagles lead by 4, 21-17. Knapp across the 20. Down to about the 18-yard line. Following Big John Pettit, the sophomore from Philadelphia, comes in at 286 pounds. Also some good work from Joshua Rejua along the left side. 2nd and 5. Ball at the 18-yard line. 2 tight ends. Knapp runs again. Knapp keeps his feet. Be dragged down inside the 10-yard line as Marks takes him down at the 7. 1st and goal. Eagles as Brett Knapp. Very simple football. Snap comes back to the quarterback. He follows the big offensive lineman. Watch again. First and goal, Eagles. Ball at the 7-yard line. Aurelian lines up to the right of Knapp. He takes the handoff, and he is met right at the line of scrimmage. Oscar Marks fills the hole. 2nd down. And that will do it for 3 quarters of action. Here in the second round of the NCAA Division III Football Championship, Eastern University leads Franklin Marshall College by a score of 21-17. Stay with us. We know you're not going anywhere. We'll be right back. You're watching Division III Championship Football on ESPN+.
In our last class, we began to discuss 2 important concepts to testing and measurement: reliability and validity. And these are 2 really important concepts you'll need to understand.
A classroom doesn't have to be in a building. With over 60 flexible and affordable online programs, at Eastern University you can earn your degree without missing the moments that matter.
Second and goal. Ball on the 7-yard line as we start this fourth quarter of action. Nab will keep again. He'll try the left side. Nab into the end zone. Touchdown, Eagles. Third rushing touchdown of the day for Brett Nab. And Eastern takes a 27-17 lead. Watch the blocking up the left side. Gets Avrilian up front. Franks out front. And Nab to the pylon and in. Nab now with 10 rushing touchdowns on the season. John Nolick, second team, all MAC place kicker. Will try to make an 11-point game. His kick is up, and it is good. 14:52 to go in the final period. Eastern takes a 28-17 lead over Franklin and Marshall. And the Diplomats need to find a way to slow down this Eastern running attack. Eight plays, 77 yards for the Eagles. Nab. So tough to bring down once he gets to the second level. Did most of the damage himself on that drive. Diplomats made a nice adjustment on the Eagles' first drive of the second half. A nice adjustment by the Eastern staff, putting the ball in Nab's hands. Led to the touchdown. Now Nolick. Kick. Be fielded by Marks at the 5. Marks comes to the near sideline, has a wall. Marks across the 35, knocked out of bounds. Deshaun Woodhouse finally gets a hand on Marks. Not before Oscar gets to the 40-yard line. Gain of 35 on the return. Watch the first year from Summit, New Jersey. Gets a nice wall, gets a nice block from Paris. Springs him along the sideline, and Woodhouse just knocks him out of bounds. First and 10 F&M. Paris in the backfield along with Tremba. Just underway in the fourth quarter. Steve Ulrich with you on ESPN Plus. Glad to have you with us today. Winner gets the victor of Susquehanna and Christopher Newport as Tremba dumps it off to Paris in the middle of the field. And Paris will pick up 7. F&M's offensive line being challenged by Nakima and Clack and Freddie DiNardo. Not giving the senior quarterback from Slatington, Pennsylvania, much time to throw. That time he was able to check down to Lewis Paris. Brings up 2nd and 3. Paris will try the middle, but Nakima, the senior from Newark, New Jersey, first team All-MAC, wrapped him up before the first year could get started. No gain on the play. It's going to bring up 3rd down. Watch Nakima. He wears number 0. He beats Chris Logue on the inside. 3rd down. 3 yards to go. F&M 2 of 7 on 3rd down today. Tremba surveys the defense with the play clock at 5. Now the senior looks to turn the corner. He's got 1st down yardage. He'll be dragged down in Eastern territory at the 42-yard line. Pickup of 11 as Ty Tremba escapes the rush and moves the chains for the Diplomats. F&M going with tempo. Tremba over the middle, complete to Harrison. Harrison down to the 25-yard line. Pickup of 17, second catch of the day for Harrison. Diplomats going quickly again. Tremba to the post, looking for Lewis. Touchdown, Franklin and Marshall. 25 yards. Tremba to Lewis. And the Diplomats are back within 5. It's 28-23. Watch Tremba. Lobs it up there. And Lewis pins it on his hip. Second touchdown catch of the day for the senior captain from Summit, New Jersey. And now Michael Fleming for the all-important extra point. 28-23. Galligan, the snapper. O'Brien, the holder. Fleming's kick is up. It is good. 12:33 to go in the final period of action. Watch again. Touchdown strike. First of all was Tremba escaping trouble. And then he looks for Harrison over the middle. Pickup of 22. And then the capper. For the 38th time in their career, Tremba to Lewis. And F&M within 4 is 28-24. 5 plays, 60 yards. Harlamoff will kick it off. Rivera is the deep man. Curtis Johnson and Eric Smith are the short men, awaiting the kick of Harlamoff. A good one today here in Lancaster, so glad you're with us on ESPN+. Harlamoff line drive will be fielded by Smith at the 15. Smith trying to get around the corner on the near side. He will be taken down. Matt Wirtz, Nick Aravides on the tackle for F&M, but Eastern will start in good field position. Ball at its own 37-yard line. Eastern return men showing their speed, being able to recognize there's no room in the middle, and then kicking to the outside. 1st and 10 Eagles. Eastern has rushed for 261 yards today. Nab just 5 of 7 through the air for 46 yards. He's been sacked once. Nab will keep. Gets across the 40, down to the 42-yard line, L.T. Kelly. Franklin and Marshall senior nose tackle from Baltimore stops him after a gain of 5. Simple football. Make the ball fake. And then count on your offensive line. A lot of credit to Alvin Carpenter, senior center out of Philly, first team All-MAC. John Pettit, sophomore right guard. Cody Green, right tackle. Have opened holes for the big quarterback today. Avrilian, he'll try that right side. He breaks one tackle. He gets into F&M territory. He'll be taken down. Evancho and Hilly finally stop Avrilian, but not before he picks up 12 into Diplomat territory at the 46-yard line. Avrilian now over the century mark with 105 yards. Nab leading the way with 158. Will Franklin and Marshall have to begin selling out to stop the run? 2 tight end set. Avrilian lined up as the deep back. Nab will take the handoff, and he's taken down on the play. Owen Banghart stops him after a gain of 1. Watch Banghart, he slides out, beats the double team block, and drags down Nab, who's carried the ball now for 28 times for 159 yards. Nab will look over to the sideline to get the play. Franks lines up at the tight end, the top of the screen. Nab will keep it again. Nab breaks through the tackle of Keenan. Checchio will wrestle him down just shy of the large line to gain And there's a flag that's going to come out. And the way Franklin Marshall's players are pointing, that may go against the Eagles. We have a meeting of the minds here at the 40-yard line. Wait for the call. Now referee Sean Burke double checks.
There are multiple fouls on the play. They will offset. After the play was over, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, offense number 35. Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, defense number 1. Those fouls offset. The result of the play stands.
So Dylan Weathers for Eastern, Rafe Carner for Franklin and Marshall. Called for offsetting penalties. Chris Albero trying to calm down his secondary mate. Carner apoplectic about the call. That brings down 3rd down and 3. Does Brett Knapp keep it once again? He sends Aurelian. How's the wide receiver on the near side? Knapp will keep. Knapp runs into LT Kelly. He is right at the marker. A left-footed spot means we're gonna have 4th and short. Ball put down at the 37-yard line. 4th and inches. It's gotta be Brett Knapp time. 9:35 and counting. Now Knapp will look to the sidelines. Critical play in this contest. Eagles trying to keep the drive alive on 4th and inches. Knapp, roll, into the clear, flag on the field as Knapp runs 37 yards to pay dirt, but there was a flag on the play, and it's going to come back.
Holding, offense number 87, 10-yard penalty on the spot of the foul. It's 4th down.
The run to daylight for Brett Knapp. What would have been touchdown number 4 of the day is coming all the way back. Watch the hold. I think it went against Sam Keenan, number 44. Keenan was taken to the ground. Now John Westfield will come in to punt. 3rd time today. Senior averaging 31 yards per kick. Albero will wait at his own 10-yard line. Ball will turn over. Albero will let it bounce into the end zone. Diplomats will take over. 1st and 10 on the 20-yard line. 9:08 to go in the contest. Diplomats trail by 4. Diplomats now turn to tie time. When the Diplomats trail by 1 score, senior quarterback Ty Tremba has had an answer. 9 fourth-quarter scoring drives in his career that have led to go-ahead or winning scores. The second-team All-Centennial quarterback now has a chance to make it 10. 1st down, Diplomats. Ball on the on the F&M 20-yard line. Give to Paris. Paris finds a hole across the 25. Will be thrown down after a gain of 7. 2nd down. F&M saw something on the last possession. Going tempo against the Eagles. Now Harrison goes in motion. The top of the screen will stop in the top slot. 8:35 and counting, 2nd and 3. Tremba, long count. Looks downfield. Now dumps it off to Paris. Paris eludes Jones. He's across the 40, 45. Just shy of midfield. 1st down, Franklin and Marshall. Gain of 20 for the freshman running back, Lewis Paris. Paris will check out. Richards will check in. Ball just shy of midfield at the 47. Tremba drops back. Flushed out of the pocket. He will keep it. looks for a block. He's tripped up from behind across midfield. Jason Bateman on the tackle, but not before he picks up 4 into Eastern territory at the 49. Richards remains in the backfield. Harrison lines up in the top slot. Now Eitner move a little bit closer to the line of scrimmage as F&M goes 4 wide. Richards on the carry. Jaden Richards, the first year from Scotch Plains, New Jersey. Gets about 3 to the Eastern 46. Brings up 3rd and 3, F&M 3 of 8 on 3rd down conversions today. Diplomats trail by 4 midway through the final period. Steve Ulrich with you on ESPN+. Thanks for spending part of your day with us. Full house here at Shattuck Stadium. The Eastern crowd exhorting the defense. The Diplomat crowd rooting for a first down. As Tremba goes long count. Gives to Richards, and he's wrapped up quickly in the backfield. Making the first hit, Nardo Murphy. Murphy, the senior from Philadelphia. Got Richards before he got started. And the Diplomats will go for it, it looks like, on 4th down. F&M 4 of 10 on 4th downs this season. 4 wide, Paris is the back in the backfield. Watch Paris slipping out as the check down. Tremba looks to throw, looks to run, he dives forward, but he stops short. Salif Nakima makes the play as Tremba stops short of the yard to gain, and Eastern will take over. 1st and 10. Tremba makes a valiant effort, but watch Nakima fights off Logue and hangs on for dear life on Tremba's right ankle. Stops the senior signal caller for the Diplomats a yard short. Eastern will take over. 1st and 10. Ball on the Eagle 44-yard line. 6:01 and remaining here in the 4th quarter. Swinton, Johnston come to the near side. Now Smith comes in motion. Nab going to keep once again. Nab tries to turn the corner. Avancho takes his pins out from under him after a gain of 3. Eastern has a lot of weapons, but the biggest one today has been Brett Nab. 31 carries for Nab, 172 yards. Jeremiah Avrilian, who had 13 carries for 90 yards in the first half, has 1 carry in the second half. It's been all Brett Nab all the time. 5.5 minutes to go. The Eagles are going to try to just run clock. Nasik Smith will try the right side. He finds a hole. Smith tripped up just beyond midfield as Rafe Carner may have saved a big gain. Smith tripped down at the Diplomat 47-yard line. 3rd down, a little more than 1 yard. Eastern 3 of 9 today on 3rd downs, with the clock running at 4:47 and counting. Eastern will send 3 wide receivers wide. Avrilian lines up left of Nab. Nab will keep it himself. Nab tries to turn the corner on the right side. Nab, 1st down yardage. As Sam Keenan taken out of the play by Justin McNulty, freeing up McNabb. Watch big number 62. Justin McNulty with the big block. Correction on that, we'll give that one to Braden Curry, the big fullback. As Curry, the 226-pound sophomore out of Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, cleared the way for Nab, who now has 187 yards on the day. His high on the year was 193. Nab again. Down to the 30-yard line, pickup of 2. Brett Nab, one of the year 0 players for head coach Billy Crocker. He came in with the program started in 2021. He's currently working on his graduate degree, and the ball remains in his hand with 3.5 minutes and counting. It would certainly be gutsy right now for Billy Crocker to go to the air when he just keeps it in the hands of Brett Nab. 2nd and 8. Avrilian tries the left side. Avrilian pickup of 2, call it 3, and timeout on the field called by Franklin Marshall head coach Michael Phelan. We'll take timeout as well. 3:02 remaining. We know you'll be right back. You're watching Division III football on ESPN+. Third down, 5 yards to go, ball on the 27. May be just outside the range of place kicker John Nolick. His career long is 45. Nab will keep it. Nab hit by Kelly and Carner. Shy of the line to gain, 4th down, decision time for Billy Crocker. Do you send on the field goal unit to attempt to make this a 7-point game? Do you depend on your senior quarterback to pick up a couple yards? The play of the game coming up here. The decision of the game coming up here. Eastern in his 3rd year of varsity football. Franklin and Marshall in his 139th year. Both first-time NCAA appearances. Crocker runs the play clock all the way down to 1 before using a timeout. Both teams with 2 timeouts remaining. Time to catch our breath here at Shattuck Stadium. 2:15 remaining. 4th and 3. Eastern on top of Franklin and Marshall, 28-24. It has been the Brett Nab show today. The quarterback for the Eagles, 34 carries, 190 yards, 3 touchdowns. He's also completed 5 of 7 passes for 46 yards. It would be the gutsy call of the year if Nab would look to throw it right here. Take a look at some highlights from this 3rd quarter of action, or the 2nd half of action, excuse me. Nab, when he gets to the 2nd level, he's got room to run. That was the last play of the 3rd quarter. That set up this touchdown run around the left side. 3rd touchdown of the day for Nab. And the Diplomats pull back within 4 on this touchdown from Trumba to Lewis. And now the play of the game. 4th and 3. F&M needs a stop. Nab will keep. Nab stops shy of the line. F&M holds. L.T. Kelly, the big man in the middle. Watch 99 fight off the block of Carpenter. Sam Keenan and Kelly do the job. And now Franklin and Marshall, 2:11 remaining. 76 yards of real estate in front. 2 timeouts for the Diplomats. Paris in the backfield. Tremba with the long count. Looks left side, now flushed out of the pocket. Tremba gets a block from Reddy. Fights his way to about the 35-yard line. First down, F&M, as we hit the 2-minute warning. 2-minute timeout, excuse me. 2 minutes remaining. As Wayne Clark, the first year from Chester, Pennsylvania, is down on the field. And he will get attention. Franklin and Marshall has found itself in the fourth quarter situations they've been trailing a number of times all year. You could call them the comeback kids. As we said, Tremba has led 9 fourth quarter drives in his career. But 2 weeks ago, Diplomats trailed 21-0. Came back to defeat Johns Hopkins 29-28. Last time F&M trailed by as many as 21 came back, you gotta go back to 1967, where they defeated Muhlenberg by a score of 29-28. And F&M has trailed in the second half in 5 of their 7 Centennial Conference victories. And certainly right now, Diplomats would like to see one more added to that total, leading or trailing Eastern by a score of 28-24. Clark still be attended to on the field. Gives us a chance to take a look at the NCAA playoff scoreboard. Final score, the Centennial Conference will not advance 3 teams to the next round as Mount Union knocks off Muhlenberg by a score of 49-7. The other game in this bracket, 2:42 to go, Susquehanna leads Christopher Newport by a score of 35-21. A Diplomat victory could mean the Riverhawks and the Diplomats back here, Shattuck Stadium, next Saturday. An Eastern win would probably send the Eagles up to Selinsgrove for the round of 16 game. Johns Hopkins defeats Springfield by a score of 34-14. John Carroll takes care of Randolph-Macon 35-6. 10 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Berry leads LaGrange 18-14. Final score in the snow in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Wisconsin Lacrosse defeats Hope by a score of 9-7. 8 minutes to go in the fourth. Salisbury leads Endicott by a score of 35-28. The other scores are half or late in the first half. 1st and 10. Diplomats. Ball on its own 35-yard line. 4 wide receiver set. 2 to the top of the screen, 2 to the bottom of the screen. Harrison goes in motion. 3 now at the top of the screen. Lewis in the slot at the top. Tremba looks, steps up, dumps it to Paris. Running back will get out of bounds at the 42-yard line, gain of 7. Important to see Paris moving forward and getting out of bounds, allowing the clock to stop. When you're pushed backwards, there's no forward momentum. The clock will be allowed to run. F&M with 2 timeouts, the Eagles with 2 timeouts. Once again, 3 wide receivers at the top of the screen. You see Gary Lewis, number 3, lined up there on the 40. Lewis, 3 catches, 74 yards and a touchdown today. Tremba cannot elude the rush of Nardo Murphy. Murphy beat Chris Logue and had an unimpeded path to the quarterback. 140 and counting. 3rd down. Flag on the play, and that's going to go against Franklin and Marshall. Typically, that's going to be procedure against the offense. But you never know. We might get a 12-man on the field call, too. Procedure will go against the Diplomats. 4th penalty against Franklin and Marshall today. Michael Phelan wants an explanation. Let's listen to Sean Burke on the call. Well, check that. Let's see what we got here.
Snap infraction. Offense number 55. 5-yard penalty. Third down. This foul constitutes a 10-second runoff. Franklin and Marshall will use their second charge, timeout of the half, to avoid this runoff.
So to avoid the 10-second runoff, head coach Mike Phelan will use timeout number 2. We will keep it here with 93 seconds to go and try to give you a game reset. Third down, 8 yards to go, ball on the Franklin and Marshall 37-yard line. Line to gain is the 45. Third and 8. Diplomats with 1 timeout remaining, 2 timeouts for Eastern. Ty Tremble on the day, 12 of 17. He's been picked off 1 time. Tremble has thrown for 189 yards and 3 touchdowns. His favorite target has been Gary Lewis. Lewis, 3 catches for 74 yards in the score. Jack Harrison, 2 catches for 46 yards and a touchdown as well. Tremble has also found success finding his running back, Lewis Paris, out of the backfield. Paris has pulled in 4 catches for 46 yards as well. 93 seconds to go. F&M needs to get to the 45-yard line to move the sticks. Long count. Tremble looks, throws, complete. Eitner, first down yardage in the Eastern Territory at the Eagle 46-yard line, 12 yards. Tremble to Eitner. Diplomats in Eagle territory. Tremba looks and he is sacked. Wayne Clark, the first year from Chester, Pennsylvania, drops Tremba for the 5th time today. Clock runs, 75 seconds remaining. Tremba steps up in the pocket. Gets back to the original line of scrimmage. Dives forward to the 43. Give him 7 on the play. And now an injured Eagle will slow down Franklin and Marshall. And with 54.3 seconds to go, there is timeout in the field. For the first NCAA game in history for both these programs, you have certainly been treated to a good one here today on ESPN+. Steve Ulrich with you. Glad to have you with us. A tip of the cap to our Executive Director, Jeff Stout, for all the technical work behind the scene, for everyone associated with Franklin and Marshall Athletic Communications, including Director Justin Grube, Assistant Directors Trey Shuttlesworth and Andrew Butler, have done yeoman's work today. Our thanks to the Athletic Communications crew at Eastern University, Dan Mao, Sean Douglas, Daryl Mackey, for all their help in making this broadcast available to you. So not surprisingly, Franklin Marshall declines the 10-second runoff on the Eastern injury. So Nekima is off the field. And F&M is looking at a 3rd and 8. Certainly 4 down territories for the home team with 54.3 seconds to go. Tremba in trouble, throws, one-hops Harrison, incomplete, 4th down. Diplomats failed to move the sticks on its lone 4th down attempt earlier in the half. Now F&M has 1 play to keep his season alive. Sellout crowd here at Shattuck Stadium on his feet. 48.4 seconds to go. The play clock down to 10. Harrison will come in motion. He'll line up in the near slot. Tremba steps, has running room. Tremba picks up the 1st down, and he is stopped at the 32-yard line. Clock will stop with 40.4 seconds to go. Huge play by the senior quarterback, Ty Tremba. Clean pocket, throws to the corner. Sawatkis is there, knocked away. What a play by Eric Wilson, the sophomore D-back from Philadelphia, coming from out of nowhere to knock that ball away. Watch the play on the replay. Wilson sweeps in, uses his athletic ability. The 5'9" Wilson knocks the ball away from the 6'6" Sawatkis. Second down, 30.7 seconds to go. Harrison in motion, 3 wide receivers to the top of the screen. Tremba over the middle, behind Harrison. That route has been there most of the season. That one, Tremba a step behind Harrison, third down. 26.2 seconds to go. Franklin Marshall with 1 timeout. Campbell on the coverage. Third down. Now, F&M sideline changing the play. Paris lines up to the right of Tremba. Steps up in the pocket. Tremba throws to Harrison, complete to the 9-yard line. Pickup of 23. First and goal, F&M. Clock running, although it was a first down. And the referee will stop the clock. The clock was running when the chains were moving. So we will have to probably go to a clock review to find out how much time was remaining. Timer error. And now we have both coaching staffs on the field. Referee Sean Burke will move away from the players and make the announcement.
Clock will be set to 17 seconds. It will wind on my signal.
There will not be a clock review. They're going to put it at 17 seconds. F&M still with 1 timeout remaining. First and goal at the 9. Tremba surveys, under pressure, runs away, throws, intercepted. Gashawn Moody Sr. makes the play, and Eastern will move on to the round of 16. Tremba under heavy pressure, rolled out to the right, threw across his body, and watch Moody make the play. Nearly lost the handle. Toomey tried to separate him from the ball, but Gashawn Moody, the senior from Philadelphia, his second interception of the season, none is bigger. .4 seconds to go, and the Eagles just need to take a knee. F&M sideline players on one knee. The disappointment for the home side, the elation on the visitor sideline as the Eagles, who were singing the Philadelphia Eagles fight song in jubilation, celebrate the third-year program from St. David's, Pennsylvania, is about to get a third-round date in the NCAA tournament. Nab once again, but that will do it. Your final score in a thriller in Lancaster. Eastern University defeats Franklin and Marshall College by a score of 28-24. Your player of the game, Eastern quarterback Brett Nab, 35 carries, 191 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Jeremiah Avrillian runs for 109 yards. Ty Tremba, A valiant effort for Franklin and Marshall. 14 of 23, 228 yards with 3 touchdowns. 2 to Gary Lewis. But Gashawn Moody Sr. makes the play of the game. Picks off Tremba in the final 10 seconds. And the Eagles move on. Most likely to play Susquehanna. The Riverhawks leading Christopher Newport 42-28 in the final minutes. So Eastern will move on. The Diplomats will conclude their season with a record of 9-2. As you take a look at the final team stats, Eastern 367 total yards, Franklin and Marshall 322. Heartbreaker for the Diplomats, jubilation for the Eagles. So glad that you spent your Saturday afternoon with us here on ESPN Plus. For all of us associated with Franklin Marshall Athletic Communications, for Executive Director Jeff Stout, my name is Steve Ulrich. Eagles move on, defeat F&M by a score of 28-24.